Dreamville, the once record label and festival that had the world in the chokehold. They're now waking up, and it's not looking too good for the Dreamers. Now, regardless on if Dreamville wakes up or not, they still have had major success and have united artists and fans all over, and helped shape the world of contemporary hip-hop. I mean, who else released a project that involved a 10-day recording session that eventually went on to become a Grammy-nominated album, by the way? J. Cole's leadership of Dreamville by far helped shape it to what it was, as well as helping amplify the voices of emerging artists. But did J. Cole lose sight of it all? Or was it the Kendrick beef? Or is it just the fact that he's tired and ready to move on from music altogether? Well, we're gonna touch base on how the label filled with dreamers are now waking up to see the once Dreamville may just be gone for good. Despite all the various philanthropic acts through the Dreamville Foundation and the cultural impact, we have to be honest here. Dreamville is not what it once was, and people may be worried that the dream is gone for good. So welcome as we discuss when the dreams died in Dreamville.
When I first signed to Jay, I'm like, all I want to do is drop a classic. I didn't care about that. That shit could have sold 3,000. I was like, man, your first album's supposed to be slept on.
Make some noise in the front. Y'all make some noise. You know I see you.
You should never give a nigga like Kendrick Lamar home court advantage. You know what I'm saying? Because he
like nobody cares.
J. Cole, the multi-Grammy nominated, the multi-talented, the realist, and the boundary-pushing artist. Okay, you get it. There's tons of nicknames we can call J. Cole, but he's a man with a vision. See, Cole had a thing for being authentic with his fans and focusing on giving the best quality of music he possibly could. And this is just a few things that inspired him to establish a label that would push boundaries just as much as him. And with him steering the boat, the only way was up. Cole also wanted to help up-and-coming artists get the recognition they deserved. He truly did mean well with his creation of the Dreamville label, and it's very noticeable in how he operates and how he pushes collaboration and cater to his artists. Cole desperately wanted to build an empire of artists that would challenge the industry norms and would push boundaries just like he did. Since Cole cherished moving with integrity, he didn't want any of his artists to quote-unquote sell their soul to see any success in the music industry. And he talks about how this stemmed a little bit from his own experiences and challenges he went through while creating in the industry. He wanted something different. So what went wrong here? If Cole succeeded in all of his goals when creating the label that would eventually extend into a festival, why are they on the obvious decline? Okay, let's look at Dreamville like it's a burger for a second. I know, it's not your typical dream, but to really understand why Dreamville fell apart, we need to break down the layers of it. Okay, good. So first we're gonna start with the top bun, which is the label in this case. And it was off to a good start, of course holding the founder himself, which was J. Cole. But things didn't start to reveal until one of his bigger artists, Ari Lennox, started to express her frustrations with the label and how that both Interscope and Dreamville were handling her career. When it came to promoting her work and marketing her as a whole, she felt like the label did terrible at it. She apparently felt neglected and manipulated. And this was one of the first big hits to the label, as Ari Lennox was a rising talent with a growing fan base. So when it came time for her to release her new single Smoke, she was under the impression she had the backing and the budget from her label. And this was the start of when she felt neglected. Now, to be fair, Smoke didn't do bad, but it didn't do the best. It debuted at number 47 on the charts, so it did not necessarily perform bad like I said. But Ari, she was not satisfied with this at all. And by October 29th, just a week and some change later, she would go on to release an 18-minute video calling out Dreamville. She felt like the label wasn't taking her seriously or her requests, and that they didn't explain why she needed more promotion. Now this shocked the world, especially since Ari Lennox was the first female artist with the label, and she has been a good collaborator with J. Cole and Jid. Now it's unknown if these were direct shots at Cole or not, but she was furious and frustrated.
On social media, again, because no one takes me seriously, and the label neglected me. They left me there by myself. Like, the label Dreamville literally is telling me to my face they don't believe in advertisements. They don't believe in Google ads. What am I supposed to do with that information? Google ads, Instagram ads. And I'm happily was just like, goodbye social media, until I realized, well, God damn it, half of the fucking world is on social media.
And she continued to make claims, saying things like, the label doesn't know how to market or protect me, and y'all don't know the half, and ending it with, I want out of my contract. Now, to say the least, this did hurt both Dreamville and Interscope. And that was just the first, cause not shortly after, it was rumored another big time dreamer in Dreamville, the artist Jid, was also wanting to part ways with Dreamville. Now, some alleged it was due to how J. Cole handled the beef with Kendrick Lamar, which we're gonna get to later in this video. But it was also rumored that there was no stability within the label. So Jid didn't exactly do his Ari, but he's definitely expressing how he wants to distance himself from Dreamville. Now, these are just rumors and there is no proof that Jid is leaving Dreamville as of the making of this video. But it is confirmed that another growing artist in Dreamville, who goes by the name Earth Gang, album independently despite being under the Dreamville label. So you get the picture. There's clearly something going on behind the scenes at the Dreamerville that we don't know about. So maybe there is some management and budget issues going on there. Or maybe the artists are just going into a different direction. I mean, that's a real possible reason for the departure of artists. When artists start to get out of that emerging era of their career, they may need to make some big and necessary changes that align with their all-time career goal. Could, or maybe Cole and the Dreamville team wanted to focus more on the festival that they've launched. It was starting to make noise and thrive, even starting to be known as a highlight in the culture. Maybe that's where all their attention went instead. But do you guys know what all burgers need? Yeah, an actual burger. And the burger here is the festival, as it is a crucial part of Dreamville, and the failure of the festival is just as large as the label.
Make some noise in the front. Y'all make some noise. You know I see it.
You should never give a nigga like Kendrick Lamar home court advantage. You know what I'm saying? Cause he
Like, nobody cares.
Now, Dreamville Festival was teased in 2018, but didn't actually happen due to Hurricane Florence happening. So the vision didn't come into life until about April of 2019, when the very first festival happened in Raleigh, North Carolina. The lineup was something serious. It was J. Cole himself, 21 Savage, and our good sis SZA. What a wonderful time to start a festival, right? Well, not if COVID had to say so. Unfortunately, it wasn't long after the start of the festival that they had to shut it right back down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic affected the festival industry as a collective though. They faced huge issues with logistic difficulties and a mad wild competitive environment with rising costs and altered consumers' behavior. But sheesh, Dreamville was under heavy pressure and had to live up to some high standards, and those weren't cheap. And the cost of living was only rising, which eventually ended up to them shutting down the festival until about 2022. But even then, see look, the thing with large festivals like Dreamville, the production costs are out of this world, ranging anywhere between $250,000 all the way to multi-millions. You can see why everything had to go as planned, right? And sometimes ticket sales and other factors weren't predictable as the festival hosts wish. Not to mention, the lineup sometimes didn't exactly hype fans up, to say the least. This year's lineup is a good example of that. Especially with their OG, Ari Lennox, not being present, the festival was met with mixed reactions, which ultimately is why Cole decided to end the festival altogether in 2025, after just a 5-year run. See, you know how J. Cole is. He definitely didn't want Dreamville Festival to go down in history as a disaster. So he wanted to end it on a high note, while people still semi-loved it. That just made sense to him. The festival will still be remembered in the best way possible. And this is how you control the narrative, people. But me personally, I don't believe anything hurt Dreamville and the label as a whole like J. Cole's 2-second beef with Kendrick Lamar. Most feel like when Kendrick stepped to him and Drake, this was his moment to prove why he is indeed the big three and to stand his ground. But he didn't necessarily do that. He released a diss track titled 7-Minute Drill, and he had it quickly removed. Now, for some fans, it made sense why Cole would want to remove this diss track aimed at Kendrick, but others were not feeling his decision and thought it showed the sign of weakness from the artist. But Cole himself, quote unquote, said the diss track was the lamest song he has ever made. And he also said he felt like the diss track and the energy around it disrupted his piece. And he wasn't going for none of that. And at the end of the day, you just gotta respect it. But the beef ended up with him giving Kendrick Lamar a public apology on stage.
On my path, you know what I mean? I pray that my nigga really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my nigga, I got my chin out. Take this, it's love. And I pray that, I pray that y'all are like, forgive a nigga for like the misstep, and then I can get back to my true path, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, past 2 days felt terrible.
Now, this did not sit well with many of his fans, and this definitely affected how many viewed him as a leader and the label as a whole. Many also felt like Cole was being contradictory and questioned his artistic abilities, serenity, and the label. Look, hip-hop is a competitive sport, so it doesn't come off as a shocker why many lost respect for Cole after he removed and apologized about his diss track. But it's clear to see Cole has shifted in a new direction, and he was thinking long term for his brand. Cole talked about how he wanted to get into films and other community projects, and didn't think a beef floating around him would be the best for him or the Dreamville brand. And we're finally almost finishing this burger. We're at the bun, and there's one more obvious reason why Dreamville may be collapsing. Could you guess it? What is up, you guys? This is our quick break, and if you've been locked in with this story, you're feeling it, hit that subscribe button right now. We've got more deep dives, real stories, and culture talk. Subscribing helps us keep this content coming. No clickbaits, just facts, vibes, and the truth behind the headlines. So if you're rocking with us, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll be right back.
Make some noise in the front. Y'all make some noise. You know I see it.
You should never give a nigga like Kendrick Lamar home court advantage. You know what I'm saying? Because he
Like, nobody cares.
Have you guys ever sat back and thought, maybe Dreamville isn't experiencing a downfall, and maybe Cole is purposely dismantling it, and it just looks as if it's falling off? Stay with me now, stay with me, because it isn't far-fetched. Jcole has hinted at retiring and getting into different avenues. Maybe after the Kendrick beef, he realized this isn't what he wants to do for life anymore. Let's just take a look. He decided to end Dreamville, and he also mentioned that his upcoming album could very well be his last album as well. But it's how J. Cole is starting to align himself outside of music, including setting up a possible podcast. And many are looking at this as him doing the groundwork for his life once he retires from music. And then it's how he announced Dreamville would be ending. It was more so like a farewell than anything. And he used phrases such as, "what a ride it's been," and "it's the fifth and final." I don't know, something about this whole message just raps "I'm retiring" by. But Cole did say when he met certain goals in his career, he will most likely do other things. So maybe he was just showing gratitude for the memories. But let's cut the cap. If J. Cole retired right now, regardless of what you think about him, he would be leaving the game as a legend. He has hit some amazing milestones as an artist, and he helped hundreds of emerging artists in the process. He also sold millions of records and hit heights an artist can only dream of hitting. It would be perfectly fine if he wanted to focus more on his family and balance his life out. But I don't believe that Cole would just disappear and do us like that. He would definitely still be around. He would just be in other ventures. So, with all that being said, did Dreamville really fall off? In my honest opinion, I don't believe it fell off per se, but more so it's shifting in a different direction. And for the most part, they are still standing their ground and continuing even at challenging times. Because when you break it all down, Dreamville artists are still flourishing and continuing to release new music that grows with time. Their Revenge of the Dreamers series was also very well received. And despite the experience Ari Lennox had with Dreamville, the label is still known to nurture its artists and allow them to spread their wings and grow. And this is good for any artist who wants to evolve in their career. And we can't knock the community Dreamville has been able to cultivate through music, festivals, and many community outreach initiatives. And because of that, their fans are strong and they're here to stay. And that's the type of love that can't be fake or forced. And it's here to stay. Dreamville is experiencing a shift, No doubt about it. But the dreamers are very much still alive and ready to dream again. So don't count them out just yet. With that being said, that was another mic dropping moment for you. Subscribe. I'm out.